All right. Let me see what we got over here. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Hang on a second. I'm gonna try to get the captions up now because for sure they're not gonna be working later when we're using the browser. My name is Rodrigo. This is, as always, my sidekick Smokey the Smoke Detector. And yeah, today we're gonna take it easy. I'm literally folding some laundry right here. Yes, that's right. This is one of those laundry folding shows. But also I wanted to talk about some of the new Pokemon stuff that's come out, and maybe Werewolf by Night if people are interested. If people had seen it or they're curious about it, because I liked it a lot. So yeah, right now, let me see what all the Pokemon stuff is. Should probably queue this up before the show started.
9 months of Smokey and laundry.
Yeah. 9 months of Smokey and laundry. That's right. Thank you, Saint JW, for the subscription. I always appreciate when you guys support the channel. And yes, Smokey has been here almost like pretty much every step of the way. Ever since I started doing this regularly, Smokey has been up there helping me out. Let's see. So definitely want to see this one. Don't play it yet. And this one, although it was like this one was pretty weird. So yeah, we'll hop to Pokemon stuff here in a couple minutes. In the meantime, yes, hot laundry folding action. Maybe the stream is just an elaborate way for Rodrigo to remember when to change the smoke detector batteries. That would be pretty intense if I was doing a weekly stream just so that I wouldn't forget to change the smoke detector's batteries. Usually the smoke detector lets you know when it's time to change the batteries though, so. Oh, this is a new shirt. I just bought this shirt. You guys like it? It's very wrinkly right now because it got scrunched up in the laundry, but it'll straighten out. And yes, it does say Pong. It's all an elaborate something. Yeah, it's what this stream it probably is an elaborate cry for help. It's just like, well, it's 2022 and things are difficult for everyone. Let's just get together and talk about Pokemon. Oh, hang on a second, I got a call. Alright, you know how it is. Just, where's my face? There we go. Just making sure it wasn't an emergency. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, it's 2022 and things are hard for everybody. So here's a stream. Here's an easy peasy laundry foldy stream. What else is new? Yeah, I've been playing Gloomhaven. I'm very bad at it, and I wonder if I'm just fundamentally like playing it wrong. Because it's very difficult. Like it's very difficult. And I always get pretty close to beating a given dungeon and then immediately, or like I'm like, ah, haha, I'll finally beat this level. And then it's like, oh wait, there's another door and there's like 8 more enemies behind it. And I'm like, there was no way I was ever going to beat this given like the loadout that I have now. So I don't know. Maybe I need to like switch up characters and try something else. So yeah, we'll see. Let's. St. Joe says I need some new T-shirts. They inevitably turn out to be Warhammer ones, though. Yeah, I'm trying to. I've been trying to sort of like spread out what I have on my T-shirts, and it's funny because the other day I went out with some friends, and everybody was like, and my wife went too, and everybody's like, hey, we're going to be wearing dinosaur shirts. And I was like, well, obviously I have a dinosaur shirt. But actually, it's been a long time since I bought a new dinosaur shirt. So the only dinosaur shirt that was like straight up a dinosaur, right? Because I have like a mosasaur shirt, but I'm like, I can't be the guy who shows up to a dinosaur party with a mosasaur on my shirt. But, you know, so my one shirt that has a T-Rex on it was in the laundry, and I was like, oh no, am I going to show up to this get-together without any dinosaur gear on? But fortunately, I had a shirt with a chicken on it, so I was like, this is actually, yeah, this is cool. It's like a stealth dinosaur. So it all turned out okay. So I'm trying to, I probably need to buy more, now that I've spent time trying to diversify my wardrobe, I've realized I actually don't have that many dinosaur shirts. St. Joe says, I really enjoyed the Gloomhaven. I'm also terrible at such games. Yeah, Gloomhaven, I mean, I'm having a good time with it. It's fun. I think there probably is some like small fundamental gameplay change that I could make that I'm missing. But I haven't figured out what that is. And I think honestly, it's probably to swap out like my psychic rat for like the straight up wizard person. I bet you that character probably gets a lot more like gas since it actually engages with the like elemental bonuses that appear. So we'll see. I might try it out later. We'll see how it goes. I like that rat though. Horsepoint Mine says, "Gotta get back to your roots." Yeah, I'm honestly very surprised. I used to have, yeah, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, it's actually been a very long time since I bought a shirt or somebody has given me a shirt with a dinosaur in it. And like I was like, okay, so what are the last few like shirts that I've gotten? And it's like, yeah, it's like one of them has a mosasaur, and then I had another shirt that had a pterodactyl. And I was like, oh, yeah, I actually haven't bought a dinosaur shirt in a long time. So now I need to go online and look for a dinosaur shirt that I actually want to wear. So we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about... What time is it? Yeah, let's talk about some Pokemon stuff. Where's my browser? You can see my face like turn red all of a sudden because there's this like Switch logo thing. Why is this not? Here we go. Let me turn off the music. And then I'll probably need to mess with the audio a little bit. No.
Look to Chewy for great prices on pet medications every day.
Did it skip something?
Just order.
There we go.
All right, everyone. It's almost time to begin your journeys in the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet games. Are you ready? You'll get to catch Pokemon, raise them, and battle them.
Fanfi
as you embark on an adventure where the familiar charms of the Pokemon series evolve into a new experience. As a student at an academy in the Paldea region, you'll take part in an independent study program called the Treasure Hunt. And you'll search this vast
is interesting.
world
Part of
for
what
precious
this
treasure
trailer
of
is
your
talking
very
about
own.
is that
But hey, at this point,
you will
you
have
probably knew all that already, right? Here's something
there'll
we
be
hope
like
even you well-informed
3
viewers will enjoy.
interwoven
A sneak peek
stories
at
that
4 particular trainers'
you can
journeys in Paldea.
potentially pursue at your own
Now,
leisure.
let the adventures begin.
So that's interesting. It's kind of like Skyrim, how there was like the dragon storyline and the
This
Civil
trainer
War
is battling a Pokemon
storyline.
called Lechonk. Lechonk is a gourmand. It's proud of its nose, which it uses to sniff out delicious food.
We've seen Lechonk before. It's cute to see some combat. Also, to in general see some combat. And there's something that I talked about
Look,
when we were talking about
Largely
Legends Arceus.
terrestrialized.
Is like the combat here doesn't look as good as
Terrestrializing
Legends
is a phenomenon
Arceus because
unique
both
to
of
the
these
Paldea
games were
region,
in
but all
development
Pokemon can
at
do
the
it.
same time, right?
It
The
adds
the
extra
overlap
to
is
move with the
too
Pokemon's
too
territory.
close. So although this does seem to implement some of the stuff that Legends Arceus was doing, it does it in a different way,
What's that
right?
over there? Is that a glowing
Um,
Pokemon?
so yeah,
It seems
this
to be a
this thing of having like
Why
Pokemon
is it shining so
around
bright?
in the overworld,
Better
it
approach
looks
it
a lot
slowly and
worse
start
in
a
this
battle.
one because they didn't have the time to like implement
Whoa,
Legends
it
Arceus tech
terrestrialized.
into it, right?
Looks like this Jigglypuff has the
Terrestrializing
water type
looks
for
fun.
its Terra type. Apparently, these
Hey,
sparkly
Malone.
wild Pokemon will terrestrialize in battle. This Jigglypuff seems pretty tough. but
Jigglypuff
cracks
is
strong
tough
too.
for a starting
Dealing enough damage to a wild Terra Pokemon
level
causes its
Pokemon.
terrestrialization to come undone.
This is interesting. Like terrestrializing is going to introduce
Now,
an
throw a
interesting,
Pokeball.
potentially like definitely hunting, but potentially breeding
Nice. The wild Jigglypuff was
system.
caught.
I wonder,
Some
like that's
Pokemon,
my question. I
like
wonder
this
how
Jigglypuff,
terrestrialize is going to
have a
interact
Terra
with
type
breeding
completely
Pokemon.
different from their regular type.
It's
Any
like
Pokemon
can
is
a
capable
can a
of
parent
having
pass
any of
down
the
their
18 different
terrestrializing
types
type
as its Terra type.
or the Terra type down to its children? Who knows? This is something. This is something that I'm
What's this?
very
Lexley's
excited
out
about.
there in the world, charging straight
Is
toward
that you can just
Litleo.
like
Looks
send
like
your Pokemon
Lexley
out
battled
and the
Litleo
fight
on
can
its
just happen
own and won.
instantaneously? Because that's one of the
That's
biggest
because
things with
the trainer
Pokemon,
gave
right? It like
Quaxley the Let's
it always
Go
involves
command.
a lot of grinding.
Using
Let me turn this down a little bit more.
Send your lead Pokemon out onto the field to battle.
So that's kind of an issue. But that's nice,
If a
right?
Pokemon
That you
gets
can
sent
do
out
that.
to
I
the battle,
wonder
it'll go pick it up.
I wonder
Just
if it
like Quaxley
always
here. What a useful command for
like
searching
if
your
you send your
surroundings.
Pokemon out
These
to fight
Pokemon
a
are
Pokemon
so
that's like
helpful,
bigger and
giving them
stronger
off
than
their
it,
partner.
does it still do that or does it
Next,
drag you
the
into an
trainer
actual
opens
fight?
his map
We'll see.
to
Oh
see
yeah,
where he
also
wants to go.
map functionality, right? Which is like
You can set
this is
places
something
of
that every
destination
game has
and
had
yourself
for the
on
past
track as you go.
15 years,
Then
and
we can
Pokemon
launch
has
the
just
legendary
implemented
Pokemon
it, and we're all
Mirai
like,
and get
oh,
going.
finally a map!
And
Oh,
what have we
good!
here? It's a
You know,
base belonging to Team Star.
this is like
Ooh,
PS2
trouble.
technology.
Starfall Street, one of the 3 major stories that will make up your Paldean adventures, will unfold in bases like this one.
Yeah,
Time to
so
face Team
Starfall Street
Our
is
trainer
kind of
Raphael
where they're
barged
looking
into the
to
base. That takes
to
some guts.
implement
But
that
things look bad.
um,
There are lots of grunts around, and they keep sending out Pokemon. They just
yeah, that
won't
thing where
quit
you send out
blocking
Pokemon, and
away.
apparently you can send out
Let's
multiple
go to defeat
Pokemon.
Team Star's Pokemon. There we go. All the grunts have been defeated
That's
at last.
Wiglet, that's a new Pokemon as well.
Is that some kind of tricked out car? It is. And atop it is Mela, the boss of Team Star's fire crew. She's obviously tough.
Obviously, you don't get boots like that unless you're tough. They just don't give them to you at the store.
Pokemon to battle. You'll have to wait for your own adventure to see how a battle like this plays out. Now, let's check in on another trainer. How's her adventure going? Aha! She's using the TM machine at a Pokemon Center.
TM machine, of course, stands for Technical Machine.
Your own TMs, also known as technical machines, using materials Pokemon drop when you defeat or catch them.
Yeah, that's another thing, is Pokemon are going to be dropping a lot more stuff, and you can use it to make TMs.
Seems to be a desert-like area under a blazing sun. Just looking at it is enough to make you thirsty. Oh, her Rotom phone is ringing. Sounds like Arvin, her friend in the next grade up, needs some help. To give Arvin a hand, the trainer's headed to a rock face where a Titan lurks. This is one of the stops on the Path of Legend, a story where you'll seek out legendary herbs called Herba Mystica. There it is.
So yeah, this is another storyline, right? There's 3 supposedly interwoven storylines. I wonder if my guess is that Titans is going to be where Alpha Pokemon, or yeah, where Alphas from Legends Arceus are implemented. So.
To become a grass type. This is Terrablast, a new move.
So yeah, this also seems to be a story fight. So I don't think you can catch this guy. So we'll see. We'll also see when and how you're allowed to bring in Pokemon from other games, right? But
now of all times.
Oh yeah.
Looks like she's taking a little break from adventuring to trade Pokemon with a friend. And over here, her trade partner has received Girafarig. Seems like she immediately added Girafarig to her team, and she's gonna let it run around in the field and train up for some battles.
Girafarig is cute. I don't think I ever played with a Girafarig. But yeah, so new evolution for Girafarig, right?
Oh, could Girafarig be evolving? Hang on, did its tail become its head? Or is its head wearing its tail? What an unexpected evolution! Seems like Girafarig has evolved into Farigiraf. In the Paldea region's Pokédex, you can see photos of Pokemon as well as information about them.
Yeah, it's cute. I think maybe there's some hidden information in this.
Its head wearing its tail. What an unexpected evolution!
Right, so here are some other Pokemon pages. Here's I've totally blanked on it. The Poison Electric baby Pokemon from Sword and Shield, Girafarig, Umbreon, Eevee. So one thing that's nice about these is as you watch in the background, you can see all the Pokemon from previous generations that are going to be in the game.
Seems like Girafarig has evolved into Farigiraf. In the Paldea region's Pokédex, you can see photos of Pokemon as well as information about them, so you can get to know them even better.
I like that Pokemon. It's weird looking. I like it.
It looks like one big park. Now that the trainer's Pokemon have gotten stronger, it seems she's made her way to a gym. She's following Victory Road, the story where you'll conquer all
and then your standard kind of wanna be the very best storyline.
Before you can battle a gym leader, you'll first have to pass the gym test at their gym.
Does it seem like that those Sunflora are a lower frame rate than everything else?
Time to battle the gym leader. All fired up.
Right? It's everything's moving like it's animated, like an animated show, but that Sunflora looks like it's claymation, like it's just moving at a lower frame rate. It's so weird.
Time to battle the gym leader.
Is that on purpose?
Here comes Gracias, the grass-type gym leader, with a striking entry.
Oh yeah, this is cute. You can because of its Terra type, you can change Sudowoodo into an actual grass type, so that's cute.
And became a grass type.
And then every Pokemon I think gets the same Terrastalize ability to to just deal damage of whatever the type is. Although, yeah, that was a different thing. Horse One Mind says the windmill, when they first entered this area, was the same way. The windmill was extremely jumpy in the establishing shot. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, it's not a good sign when you're putting stuff in the trailer and it's dropping frames, right? I mean, I don't think it's a frame rate drop. I think it's just at a lower frame rate, which is very weird. It's a weird choice. They're like, we're not going to show you the same fight because Pokemon fights are boring. Oh yeah, this is important. You can change your hair color and stuff. And it really looks like all options are going to be available to all characters. It's possible that this game doesn't actually have genders. Like, it's just like, okay, Pokemon trainer, here you go. And yeah, you can just, yeah, like, this is...
Wow, look, stylized Pokemon.
Like, this character starts out looking like this and ends up looking like this, right? So that's cool. It's something that that I haven't heard people talking about. Like, it's very likely that this game, because it's not voiced and because you don't ever see characters referring to you. Like, nobody is ever, and if they are, they probably just use your name. There's not ever any need to use pronouns in the game to refer to the main character. So I'm guessing that they just did away with genders altogether. You might do something like Legends Arceus where it's like, what do you look like? And you can pick from some like boyish types and some girlish types. But again, because they've opened up all of the clothing and hair options to everyone, right? There's no separation now. Like, you can pick whatever baseline one and then change it to look like whatever else. So congratulations, people that wanted to have all of the hairs and eyes and clothes available, and by that I mean me. As you remember from the Poison Team run, it's like, number one most important thing about Pokemon games is like, find the Pokemon. Number two, how can I dress up my character? How can I play my character like a little Barbie doll whose clothing I can change? This is also why Mortal Kombat 11 is one of my favorite fighting games, because there's a lot of clothing options in that game, and I literally just want to have my guys fight so they can earn points so that I can get different clothes on them. Someday, if I ever stream Mortal Kombat 11, which I might not, you guys will see my ample clothing collection. Let's see. Malone says, early builds often have stuff like that. All is not yet optimized, and least hopeful. And at least hopeful will be in final game. Yeah. I'm sure they'll... You're right. This is probably an early build, so all that stuff might be ironed out by the time the game comes out. Horse One Mind says, a lot of those pick your style instead of gender options also determine pronouns, which I think was a bummer. Yeah, so I think, like, Pokemon gets away with a lot of things. You know, it's 2022 and Pokemon isn't voiced, right? Like, if you guys remember that trailer that we saw where like the principal of the school that your character goes to is like, oh, this is the Paldea region. Oh, go find a treasure. Like, it had a little thing that said like voiceover not actually in the game or whatever. Pokemon is still not voiced, right? It still isn't. And although that is kind of annoying, it does create opportunities like this, right? If it's not voiced, then you don't have to separate between men's and women's voices or have like some gender neutrally sounding voices or whatever, right? It actually doesn't matter. I follow some trans streamers who play their Sword and Shield Pokemon runs as trans. Their characters are trans. You know, so it's like this game is going to make it a lot easier for you if you literally want to have your character transition while you're playing, right? So that's something that's going to be available to you again, sort of as your own personal narrative. It's not going to be enforced by the game, but it's also not going to be prevented by the game, right? So that actually makes for some interesting stuff. Malone says Nintendo has been pretty good with it, so maybe no performance issues. I trust them more than most publishers to release a functional game. Sure, yeah. Although Pokemon is like the most subject to crunch time game that Nintendo puts out. So, I don't know. We'll see. Okay.
Plenty to choose from here, too. I feel like I could spend all day on this.
Me too.
And while you're trying out all sorts of
Is this cute too, right? A photo mode, which again has been around for a long time, but now you can have it in Pokemon.
The perfect style. Line up a good shot and snap. Now they've updated their profile picture.
Oh, that cat was blinking.
Looking back on photos you've taken of scenic vistas or memorable moments with beloved Pokemon is just one more way to enjoy your adventure. And now it's picnic time.
Oh yeah.
Pokemon. When Pokemon have gotten dirty from
I like this. You know, it's like bringing back like the Pokemon-Ami type mechanics. I'm good. I'm fine with that.
Before having lunch,
I wonder if, because it's bringing that back, if it'll do something like revert, because it used to be that Sylveon could only evolve through Pokemon-Ami.
could this be a Pokemon?
So I wonder if now that there's another Pokemon-Ami type feature, if they'll like revert Sylveon's evolution stuff. Probably not, but it would be interesting.
Sandwich time.
Oh, sandwich.
This trainer came prepared with plenty
I know when I think
of
of Spain, I think of
It
sandwiches.
can be tough deciding which sandwich to make. This one may be a little overstuffed. It might not hold together.
Oh, cherry tomatoes and other kinds of tomatoes.
Just gotta put the bread on top and finish it off with a pick. Done. Let's see how it tastes. Oh, looks like it's a hit with everyone.
I'm sad because
Sandwiches can give you benefits.
Sword and Shield has such
Types of
cute
Pokemon
eating
each touch,
animations.
Or making your Pokemon gain more experience
You know, so
points.
it's like having your character like duck out of the frame to eat, and then it's like, that was a good sandwich.
Oh, hey,
I don't know.
looks like more of our
I don't
trainer
love it.
friends have shown up.
But I feel like last
Right,
game,
we're gonna take on a Terra Raid battle.
Pokemon
These
spent
trainers
so
will
much time
defeat the Terra
on the
Pokemon
food and the
with
camp that it
Pokemon
didn't leave enough time for other stuff, and people were mad. So they're probably cutting down on the time now. Very excited about this. Glad that raids are back, right? This is what kept me playing. Like Gigantamax raids is what kept me playing the game long after I had finished it, right? Whereas most other Pokemon games, I drop eventually. I'm technically kind of still playing Sword and Shield.
It's really powerful. These trainers better stay determined, band together, and strike back.
Yeah. Terrestrializing is going to be interesting, and I think competitively it's going to be interesting too. There's going to be, I really hope when things like this are introduced, my hope for competitive is always that it is going to give some Pokemon, like an individual Pokemon,
Hang in
that
there, Along with using your Pokemon's
that
moves,
wouldn't normally be competitively
your
viable,
allies by cheering.
give it an ability to become viable again, right? So if nobody's running Wigglytuff because it can just soak up a lot of damage but doesn't have a lot going for it, and like maybe you can turn it into a fire type, and that will like also allow it to like scare off, you know, big glass cannony ice types. That'd be something.
Oh wow! That was a beautiful Terra Raid battle victory. And with
Let's
the
see.
chance to catch this Terra Pokemon.
Yeah, catch that
Join
Pokemon.
forces to win your battles. The bonds between friends and Pokemon shine even brighter.
Aw. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Horse One Mine says a lot of these. Oh yeah, the making you pick pronouns is a bummer. Malone says Nintendo has been pretty good with it, so maybe no performance issues. I trust them more than most publishers. Yeah, Horse Ryan says, I like that Pokemon games aren't voiced, but maybe that's just nostalgia. I mean, that's fair, right? So that's fair. Um, Back in the ancient days of the 90s and early 2000s, this thing happened with video games where you had platformers, and then Mario 64 blew the lid off of 3D platformers, and so all games and all game lines that had 2D platformers became 3D platformers, right? And it kind of felt like 3D platformers were a thing of the past, or 2D platformers were a thing of the past. Yeah, it kind of felt like 2D platformers were a thing of the past. Um, but some time passed, and eventually a lot of indies got really popular because they started doing retro platformers, right? Platformers that involve, or Metroidvanias or whatever, right? Games that were just unapologetically 2D games, because a 2D platformer or a Metroidvania or whatever is is a different type of game than a 3D platformer, right? So there's this option that people kind of stopped using because they felt it was antiquated, but in fact is a whole basically subgenre of games, right? So you can look at voicing games in a similar way, right? Like, there are a lot of people who look at Pokemon and they say, why are the graphics so bad? Like, why, not just the graphic, but like, why are animations so, kind of retrograde? Why aren't the characters voiced? And all that stuff. And it is fair to say, like, it's a choice, right? Because at this point, it is, right? Enough time has passed that you can't be like, well, they don't voice it because they don't have time, or they don't voice it because they don't have the budget. And it's like, um, Pokemon is literally the most lucrative franchise in the world. They have the money to voice this, right? If smaller studios can voice their games with like hundreds of voice lines, like if visual novel games can voice their characters, Pokemon can certainly voice their characters. They just choose not to. And it's an interesting choice. Again, we're seeing it now. In some ways, it makes the game feel old timey. For some people is nostalgic, and it's good, and for some people, like me, honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm like, if like Pokemon wants to be a voiced game, I think it does. Um, if you remember our run through Pokemon Sword and Shield, there were moments that are like kind of embarrassing when the game isn't voiced, right? Like the very first speech that Chairman Rose gives, like you're waiting for this voice to come in and it doesn't. And then anytime Pierce sings, there's just nothing there, right? So it feels weird that it isn't voiced. Maybe they could have just voiced some of that stuff, which games have done before, right? When your character's talking to other characters in the overworld, it's not voiced, but cutscenes are voiced. So that's something you could do. But anyway, it is a choice, right? It's a choice that they're making. Interestingly, now with this whole um, every like not having gendered characters, not having a voice for the protagonist is helpful. And it's helpful to them, to Pokemon, because they don't have to include a bunch of different voices and link them to any character, right? It helps them avoid all of that stuff. And, to a lesser degree, it's helpful for the players because you can just imagine your character's voice however it is. So, I mean, I still feel that Pokemon games should be voiced, and that they should just put the time and money and effort into giving you lots of different voices. And barring that, you can always do the thing that Pokemon has done all along, and have your protagonists be basically silent and just have people respond to them. So they can always do that, but still have the game be voiced. Um, I really dislike the voice Lego games. Yeah, but like Lego made a thing of the fact that they couldn't talk, right? I don't want Link to talk, right? Like I don't want Link in Legend of Zelda to talk because he doesn't talk, right? What I definitely so it's like in Pokemon games people talk. There's like dialogue and people are doing these things. The Lego games, part of their cuteness was that characters didn't talk. And so I can see that. And I feel the same way. I think the new Star Wars Lego games, characters talk in them. And I'm like, this was a lot more fun when the characters didn't talk and they just did like cutesy little things and you just kind of had to like remember what the lines were in the movie, right? So there's that. Um, Malone says, Sakura says, I enjoy the campaign stuff for taking care of Pokemon relations. Sure, yeah, that's fun. Horse One Mind says, I like how hard the narrator here hits the word snap in the photo section. Nice. Yeah. It's letting you know that there's like a tiny fraction of Pokemon Snap exists in this game. Horse One Man says, we might not be able to animate a windmill, but we've got sandwich physics. That's right. That's exactly right. Malone says it's also a Japan thing. The moment when characters from franchise like this gets a voice actor, it's a big deal, way bigger than most think. That person immediately essentially becomes the official representative of the brand and celebrity. So maybe they don't want to draw attention to actor and away from actual game. Same as why Link is the same way. Yeah, I kind of talked about it, but I disagree. Because I think the fact that Link doesn't talk, and that's the thing is like in Breath of the Wild, Zelda talks, right? And I think all the other characters talk too. It's just that Link doesn't talk. Link as a silent character has become kind of its thing. But when you're playing Pokemon, your character talks. Your character talks to other people, answers questions, and things like that. So again, they could do it. They could just not have the character be voiced and have everybody else be voiced. But I think that Pokemon wants to be voiced. When you're playing the game, Pokemon characters want to talk, and it's weird that they don't. Also, it's also weird because they're always like, "Oh no, Pokemon is a game for like little kids." You know, it's like that's why the gameplay is easy. That's why we don't put in like weird, more complicated stuff or whatever. And it's like, well, if the game is for little kids, it should be voiced because little kids can't read, you know? Like my nephew started playing Pokemon games before he could read, and he just freaking guessed. Like he would just go to a town, like talk to everybody, but he couldn't tell what they were saying. Tried every door, tried every exit, and eventually he advanced the plot. You know, it's like he would just do that because he couldn't read yet. So I don't know. It's weird that Pokemon, like if Pokemon uses that as an excuse, that's actually not an excuse. Like kids can't read, so you voicing Pokemon makes sense.
All right, that Chansey with a rare Terra type is now part of the team. So, what'd you think? While you were getting a look at these 4 trainers' journeys, did you spot a glimmer of something that could become your personal treasure? Encounters with Titan Pokemon, face-offs with Team Star.
If you can hear,
there's plenty more to be said about all these things. Of course. What you just saw was only a
like
glimpse
the music.
of the adventures awaiting you in the Paldea region. Which Pokemon will you choose? Who will you meet?
It's
What sort of exciting
it's like
adventures will you
either a remix or it's trying to harken to Sword and Shield, right? Sword and Shield had that song in the studios where, or not in the studios, in the stadiums, where it would, right? It's like it kind of had this intro, then it was like ah da 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 da, and this sounds a lot like it. So I think it's either like a remix of the, obviously a new, like they created a new song, but it's very much meant to sound like it, which is good because that you know Sword and Shield had really good music. So I'm glad that they're looking at Sword and Shield and being like, okay, we're gonna keep some of these ideas. Malone says it's absolutely a choice. Self-inserts have traditionally not talk. It's a relic, but it is what it is. Absolutely. And it's something that still happens today, right? Um, it's a tradition, right? To have something like that, but I think that Pokemon kind of needs to move past that. Or because as we'll see here, the games are becoming more narrative, right? It's like it used to be that the plot in Pokemon games was like really bare bones and it was communicated to you through text boxes and stuff. But I feel like they want more and more to include these sort of like, yeah, something like this, something like what we're about to see. This is not in the game. This is a promo, but like they want Pokemon to have this available and they can't because it's not voiced. So this is the thing that I think this came out today. Yeah. Malone says originally they didn't talk because Famicom Dragon Quest game from 1985 couldn't do it. I would guess if they could have done it, every character would babble like a stand-up comedian. I mean, and that's a lot of, yeah, you're a lot of these traditions started because of a lack of resources. Absolutely. Right, we talked about that um, earlier when I was talking about, 3D platformers, like 2D like there were no 3D platformers because that was like unthinkable at the time, right? So when those things happened, they were like, this is the evolution of this. But as it turns out, something that existed because of a lack of or just because of the tradition and the resources that they had is good enough to continue being its own game genre, right? 2D platformers can just exist, right? They're not even actually competing with 3D platformers. 3D platformers are something else completely. Nobody's like, well, I was gonna play like Shovel Knight, but I'm gonna play Super Mario Odyssey instead, right? Just two completely different games. We don't even think of them as being in the same category. And I know Shovel Knight is a bit more of a Metroidvania, like delve type game, but it is kind of like a 2D exploration game, right? So yeah, a lot of these things start out because they don't have the resources, and they become traditions because people accept them, people adopt them, and then sometimes when those traditions are broken, people respond weirdly, like with the Super Mario Brothers trailer, um, where you hear Mario speaking with Chris Pratt's voice, and it's weird. It sounds like a joke, right? Because we are so used, like Nintendo has trained us to expect what's his name, Martinet, um, that voice actor's voice coming out of Mario and just going like woohoo, ha ha, hee. So Mario like standing up and being like, I feel like a strange thing has happened to me. Like it just sounds so weird. So yeah, let's watch this while I drink some water. I'm guessing that's pronounced Iono. I can't tell. I do like this, like, I do really like this character's design, right? The Magnemite hair, super cute. Cute outfit, and on top of like a super baggy jacket. This is This is good. This is good character. Like, very good Pokemon character design, right? You want your trainers to stand out. And again, after how, like, mwah, exquisite the Sword and Shield trainers were, this is a tall order, right? The trainers that we've seen so far aren't Sword and Shield level designs, right? They're like okay. They're not bad, but they're just not as like iconic as all of those designs. Mullen says, I would be fine with Bob Hoskins' voice, not weird at all. Yeah, maybe. Like, definitely a gruffer voice. Um, it's like our choices are, is it Charles Martinet, Lou Albano, um, Bob Hoskins, and Chris Pratt. And it's like, maybe they should have just gotten Danny DeVito. Because he sounds like a short, hairy guy, you know? Um, Horse says, I'm not sure how I feel about her shark teeth. That's a good point. She does have really weirdly sharp teeth. And I wonder, is that a Japanese thing? Does that mean something? Because, like Pearl from Splatoon, who is a similar character to this, also has like a very sharp thing. So I don't know if that's just because, oh, she's an inkling and that's like her weird squid teeth. Or if it's like, this is a type of character and they have sharp teeth for some sort of cultural reason. So I don't know. You got me there. I could do without the sharp teeth. I think it doesn't like to me it doesn't convey anything that has to do with the design. It's just kind of like an additional like this design is already getting pretty busy, right? With like the things and the bow and the hair and the long hair and the big jacket. There's a lot going on. So yeah, the shark teeth seem superfluous, but again, it might just be a cultural thing. That's cute. It's cute in English, right? It's like who's Iono's partner? Iono. I it probably is some sort of pun in Japanese as well, but yeah, I don't speak Japanese, obviously. Okay, so we're trying to guess what Pokemon this is. It's squishy. It's not Magnemite. Sluggish with an easygoing vibe. Got two lumps or two bumps on its noggin that people always mistake for eyes. So that's a little bit more complicated. Up until now, I was thinking of a Snorlax, but if people think it's eyes, I don't know. And the reason why it's like, oh, maybe it's a Snorlax is because I suspect that this is an extant Pokemon that's being turned into an electric type. I don't know that there's an electric type that matches this description necessarily. Let's see. Malone says it's usually reserved trope for rough on the edges action girl. Yeah, which doesn't match this, right? It's like, yeah, you're like, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think of like a character from like anime that I remember having that. But it's like, yeah, and very frequently characters' teeth turn into fangs, when they're like hungry or whatever, right? Because it's a cartoon thing. So in Japan they do that too. Orson says, do we think these might be a new Magnemite form or just stylized for the outfit? Um, I kind of hope that they are just stylized for the outfit. It would be cool to have new Magnemites, but also I love the idea of taking a Pokemon and like making it like differently cute and using it as an outfit. Also, because she seems to be able to control them. Maybe they are a new form of Magnemite because they might just be Magnemites. It's like she's saying they're clips, but maybe they are actually new Magnemites. I think that it's actually just the hair, or yeah, they're just like an outfit. So it's electric type. His body expands and contracts to generate electricity in its belly. So yeah, my guess is this is some already extant Pokemon that's going to get an electric form in this game. So I haven't spent a lot of time racking my head thinking of what this Pokemon is, because I think they're gonna cheat. They're gonna be like, it's Poliwrath, except it's an electric type. It's also cute that like yeah, it's also cute that Iono is a streamer, right? That's what she is. So she does all this stream stuff. It's cute. You look at properties and see how long it takes for them to sort of like absorb modern culture. It's like there's been a kind of a Spider-Man villain. I think this villain was in the Spider-Man game too. Whose whole deal is that she's an influencer, and so she does dangerous, illegal things to get more views, right? So you wait for a bit to see who absorbs certain things and how they do it. So it's interesting to have an influencer Pokemon trainer, right? Horseman says, I can't help but feel like there's more animation budget put into this than like a lot of the rest of the game we've seen so far. Screwball. Yeah, Screwball's the one, Malone. That's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, that's the thing is like, and this is what I mean. Like, I don't want to compare this animation to the game's animation because it is two different things, right? When you have to animate like almost 1,000 freaking Pokemon, it's gonna be a huge amount of time and effort, right? But Pokemon has the resources to do something like this. So that also means that Pokemon has the resources to do cutscenes. And with current cutscene technology, you could have cutscenes that involve your character who is stylized, right? It's like before it used to be that if a game involved customization, like visual customization, your character wouldn't be very visible in the cutscenes, right? Because they're like, we're not gonna like there's literally no way to have a customized character in this cutscene, which is just like a video file. Nowadays, that has the existence of cutscenes. If I click on this, check. Okay, the existence of cutscenes and in-game events is blurred now, right? So nowadays, Pokemon could do something like this. Again, They could just voice cutscenes and have characters do things. Have characters do things that you want to see in the Pokemon world that the games don't show us, right? Have somebody like actually use like a Dugtrio or some other ground type, an Excadrill, to dig a tunnel and then like get into a facility that way or something, right? Or have like a Tauros like smash into a wall and break it. It's like you can show us things like that Pokemon can do, and cutscenes are the way to show it to us, and they allow us to see that Pokemon can interact with the world other than in like the very tight, linear system of Pokemon battles. Malone says, I like to know if these are made by completely separate department to actual game devs. It looks rendered with game engine though. It does look like that, and I wonder. Yeah, I don't know where this comes from, but that might have been a note. That might have been a note. They might have been like, don't make this character look too good. Like it has to look like it belongs in a Pokemon game. Horse Mine says, I don't even necessarily want big cutscenes or anything. I just want the grass and trees to look serviceable. I am just so disappointed in a lot of the world design in both Arceus and what we've seen so far in Scarlet and Violet. I get that. It's like in Arceus, Arceus gets a lot of props and it deserves a lot of the props it gets, um, because it it took some big swings with gameplay, right? The way you catch Pokemon is different. The way you fight Pokemon is different. The way you interact with the Pokedex, it like turned the Pokedex into like an interesting, active part of the game that you needed to interact with, right? After you see and or catch a Pokemon in previous games, you don't ever need to interact with the Pokedex anymore. In fact, you can go your whole game without interacting with the Pokedex. Like you can just not check it. It doesn't add anything, except maybe if it's a Pokemon that you're trying to catch, it shows you sometimes where it lives. But yeah, but there's no purpose to interacting with the Pokedex, right? That's one thing that Arceus did that I like a lot. It turned this. Got a coughing fit. It turned Legends Arceus turned the Pokedex, which is in universe a very important part of the world, but in game not an important part at all, into an actual important thing, right? So all those things are things that Arceus can pat itself on the back. Graphics, though, like very minor improvements over Sword and Shield, and that's the thing is like Pokemon is like a fantastic world, and when you look at some of the places in Legends Arceus, um, it shows that sometimes. I think like for example the ice world, the ice region, whose name I don't remember anymore, has some sort of like fantastical architecture and like a big stone temple on top of a mountain and things like that. But a lot of the other ones kind of don't. They just are kind of doing their own thing. And part of that might be for like ease of gameplay. It's like, okay, Pokemon are going to be moving around. Most of these worlds need to be flat, right? They need to be basically plateaus because hills are going to be a problem. Um, so yeah, and they didn't go in and make brand new fabulous trees. That's always going to come back to the it's always going to come back the to where am I at? Here we go. Uh, with Pokemon, we always end up coming back to graphics. I think that it's a perfectly legit choice to say Pokemon should look like toys, and that's fine. That's fine because when you look at some of the Pokemon in Detective Pikachu, for example, who are all rendered with like realistic fur and skin and stuff, some of them look really cool. Some of them look cute, like they're supposed to, and some of them look freaking wrong, like just uncomfortably ugly. Like that Gengar. Like, and you can argue is like, well, Gengar is supposed to be ugly and scary, but there's a difference between this thing is like a spooky ghost and like this thing has like human like skin like wrinkling around its mouth and stuff. It's weird. Horse One Mind says, I usually don't mind graphics, but it really grated me in Arceus because it was meant to be a big sandbox exploration game. I can forgive some rough world textures when I'm moving from gym to gym, but if the game is going to ask me to spend hours running around the world looking off into the distance searching for Pokemon, I feel like graphics have to keep up. Yeah, uh, you know, like you usually don't see like this extreme of a difference, right? In most games, there is some sort of trade-off between gameplay and graphics, right? Um, there's a lot of first-person shooters out there that aren't bringing anything new to the table of first-person shooters. One second. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of first-person shooters that aren't bringing anything new to first-person shooters, right? But every instance of them looks progressively more and more like graphically sharp. And it's like, and that's the choice that they're making. They are putting a priority on visuals over gameplay, right? You could argue that Pokemon is a sharp difference between those two, that it favors gameplay so much that it's not favoring graphics, but it's hard to make that argument sometimes because gameplay in Pokemon games has changed very little since like 1996 or whenever it came out, right? It's just, you know, hasn't been all that different or hasn't been that many changes. And often what changes there are, like mega evolutions or whatever, are then dialed back in future instances so they don't necessarily stick with the campaign. Malone says they were made with drawing by pen, not to be rendered realistically. It's actually pretty hard to develop a new style. It is. It really is. It's easier to emulate photorealism. And that's the thing, is like, if Pokemon is ever going to improve its graphics, it's going to have to come up with a brand new style in which Pokemon look good, right? Um, because, yeah, Pokemon were originally created to be 2D sprites. And so, literally, the most famous Pokemon, Gen 1 Pokemon, were created so that they would be in 2D. And so making them 3D causes problems. Like when you look at something like Ghastly, we've talked about this before. When you look at where's my browser? When you look at a Pokemon like Ghastly, is like it is clearly meant to be a 2D Pokemon. So you have this black orb with eyes and fangs, and then this like purple miasma around it. And so, yeah, it's like, how do you represent this in 3D? And they've done a good job. But basically, what they do is they do it like this, right? Where Ghastly is a black sphere, and then no matter where you look at it, the purple stuff is like behind the sphere, right? So if you move to one side of Ghastly, basically the fog moves along with you, so that it's always at the right angle. Yeah, so I flew too close to the sun earlier. I was getting really into what I was saying, and my throat was starting to tickle. And I didn't stop when I should have, and now I'm like, bleh. So that's my own fault. Um, Malone says it took Mario and Zelda decades to develop modern styles. Yeah, it's like a paradigm shift, and I feel that Pokemon was pushed into making their sprites 3D because prior to what was it XY, um, they had gotten to the point where their 2D sprites were really awesome looking, right? They like had parts that like moved independently and stuff, and they had all of these like cool animations for them. And then basically they were put on the back pedal to make XY, and they've never caught up, right? They're still using the rigs from XY. Like a lot of these Pokemon are just the XY Pokemon with different textures on. So that's not how you do it, right? You need time and care, and not a game that comes out once a year, right? That's too fast. So, Horseman says, how cool would it be if the largest media franchise in the world decided to revert back to pixel art for their main video games? Pack it up. We had it figured out the first time. I think they could do it. They could absolutely do it, and it would look totally rad. You can have a 3D world with characters that are 2D sprites. You know, you can either do it sort of like Paper Mario and emphasize the fact that they're 2D sprites, you know, and have them like flip around when they're moving in a different direction, or not, or just have their animations and just have like the Pokemon facing whatever direction you're facing. They could do it. They could go back to it, but unfortunately, they've committed to this 3D thing. So now it is probably easier to just sort of piece by piece fix the 3D thing than to go back to 2D altogether. Because if they went back to 2D altogether now, they would have to redo a lot of that work, right? So it would be cool. It would be cool if Pokemon was like, yep, we thought about it, and Pokemon doesn't need to be a 3D game. And it's like, okay, cool. Malone says, yeah, it probably became a necessity to make a game on modern platform with modern game engine. Yeah. Square Enix did it with Octopath Traveler. It looks gorgeous. Yeah, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Yeah, Octopath Traveler is a good example. Horseman says, I again think this is just nostalgia, but like the scenes in the overworld where it's storming and Pokemon Emerald are stuck in my head, in my mind forever. Just way more striking than anything in any other 3D games. And that's the thing, is like you can make, right, it's like obviously you can make really impactful, interesting, beautiful things with 2D animation, right? And with sprite based animation, and with like pixel based animation. You can totally do that. There's like 3D doesn't have a monopoly on that. You can also make beautiful, striking things in 3D. But Pokemon, you know, who had been using sprites, like those basically 2D sprites, since the 90s, had such a long time to just like perfectly craft and develop their sprite game that then when it came time to switch, they just couldn't match it. It was a step back for the franchise to go to 3D visually. They, you know, it's like most people are like, oh, finally it's in 3D, but it was a step back. It really was. And now it's too late to go back. So they can only move forward, and hopefully they are developing some sort of new look where the way that Pokemon look feels more like intentional and purposeful, right? Where it's like, okay, like Pokemon is a fun game where kids get to catch cool Pokemon. It should look like toys. So we're going to make Pokemon look a lot more like that. What was it? Link's Awakening remake, right? Where like everything very much looks like it's a toy that you're looking at in like a little box. Um, or, maybe they'll be like, okay, yeah, we've decided that actually we want to make Pokemon more realistic. So we're going to make them more realistic. We're changing them. We're, giving Pikachu like little pores and moisture in his nose so that it looks like an actual animal. And it's like, I think that would be the wrong way to go, but that's a way to go, and it's a way that they could do and they could commit to. So hopefully somebody's sitting there thinking about that and not just kind of like la 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 la. We're gonna keep using all the assets from X and Y. Blah blah la la la. We don't have time to deal with this. Hopefully somebody in the company is thinking about it and doing something about it. Let's see what else. Do you guys want to look at the Super Mario trailer? We've been looking at trailers. Do you guys want to look at the Super Mario trailer? Let's see if I can find one that isn't a meme. Let's see if I can actually find the original. I think this is it. Let me turn off the music again. Let's see, what are you saying? Malone says they got help to do it from Acquire, a team with experience of modern sprites, so it's kind of becoming a lost art for average modern studio. Oh, you mean for Octopath? Yeah, definitely. Game Freak is far from average, though. They have to have awesome artists for that amount of character designs. You're right. Yeah. And again, most lucrative franchise in the world, right? Just pour money into that. Just hire a studio, create a new studio. Like, do whatever. Like, you can do it. You can figure out a way to do it when you have that many resources. They just choose not to. They want Pokemon to remain lucrative without adding back any money, right? Because that makes it more lucrative to them. Horse One Mind says, I feel like the Pokemon games are just such a small limb of the Pokemon company. It's a tiny fraction of the company's budget, so it's not necessarily going to get the lion's share of the attention or money. Yeah, it's very much like comics for something like Marvel Studios, where it's like comics, well, I would say it feels that way, but comics actually make very little money. Like Pokemon games make tons of money, right? And still are just sort of, they're like this originator like branch, and they're just given back like very little. But yeah, let's look at the Mario trailer. Up, boop. Browser, not Bowser. Okay. And I might mess with the volume as we go. Rad, right? Super cool. So, Kamek is a character in this. I'm pretty sure Kamek comes from Yoshi's story, or like Yoshi's Island. I think that's like the first time he becomes a named character. So I think it's cool that, it's like you never know where the lore that actually sticks is gonna come from. But like, yeah, Kamek as a named character, as like sort of like this top Magic Koopa, as opposed to Magic Koopas in Super Mario World, who were just another type of troop that you went up against. Yeah, I just think it's cool. I think it comes from like the Yoshi line of titles. There's also might actually not be top tier artists for games development available in Japan. In anime, it's already happened a while ago. People, no people to meet demand. Yeah, it's because they treat them like garbage. If they just like, obviously anime is hugely lucrative, video games are hugely lucrative. If they put that money into their people, then they would be able to do that, and they would improve the product. All right. So the other thing is that, like, video games look this good now, right? It's like, it used to be that um, something like Pixar, like you could look at a Pixar movie and be like, yeah, this quality is like much higher than that of like a video game cutscene, right? Not the case anymore. If instead of telling me that this was the trailer for the movie, you'd been like, this is for like Mario Odyssey 2 or like some new Mario game, I would have been like, sure, yeah, why not? Other than the fact that they have him talk. Um, Malone says, I think he was named it SMW manga. I read it from Nintendo Power as a kid. Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe they named him there. And then, because I know that Kamek is for sure a character in, like, Yoshi's Island, I think. So yeah, if they did it in the manga, like in between those two games, that would make sense. Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, it is deep Mario lore, definitely. So yeah, video games look this good now, right? So it's like there's no difference anymore. Open the gates. It's like, oh, that didn't sound like Jack Black, but it's Jack Black doing a voice. Okay, I gotta tell you guys something really embarrassing. This penguin has a very deep voice and a very like a regal bearing, and I thought it was Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar is the guy that was the John Stewart Green Lantern. He's like Wilt in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. He's Jolie Bindo in the New Republic, or in Knights of the Old Republic original game. He's also like Aquaman in Injustice. So he's got a huge range, but he has that like deep voice. And I thought this was him, and I tweeted him, and I was like, "Hey, the Penguins!" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, I looked it up in IMDb, and I had to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were in the new Mario movie, but it's actually someone else. I'm sorry." It's like, and I didn't feel like I felt like I shouldn't delete my tweet. It's just like, I'm like, here's an apology, and I'm copying to it. And like the other day, somebody liked it, and I'm like, what's there to like about it? I guess maybe the fact that someone apologized for something online. I guess that is rare. Let's see. Uh, like those Metal Gear Solid. Oh, you mean like the graphics? Yeah, yeah, I screwed that. Yeah, I super screwed that up. Horse pawn mine. Yeah, I was very embarrassed, and it's like Philomar is going to forget that happened, but the reason why I did it is because I'm a big fan of Philomar. He's also the guy who gets shot in the back seat in Pulp Fiction. Um, but yeah, right. It's like in the time that I had been watching cartoons from becoming a kid to like an adult. That's the time when Philomar was voicing cartoons. So he's like in everything. He has a huge range. He's a super cool guy. And I'm just like, buh. And it's like, he's going to forget about it, but I will remember this forever. All right. He was vamping. Oh, in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 4. Yeah. Or 2 and 4. Yeah. Yeah, he's in everything. He does ton of games and stuff. I get like angry for him sometimes. It's like when they started doing the new DC animated movies, and they were like, "Oh yeah, everybody's back. Tim Daly's back as Superman. Kevin Conroy is back as Batman, and now we have Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern." And I'm like, "Where's Phil Lamar? Where's Phil Lamar, DC? Where's Phil Lamar, Warner Brothers Animation?" And he's not there. They just didn't have him. And it's like, oh, great, fantastic. Thank you for benching like the best Green Lantern, the best animated Green Lantern there has been. Thank you. But anyway, enough about Philomar and my many, many mistakes.
That is but a taste of our fury. Do you yield? I do not. I finally found it. Now who's gonna stop me?
Again, looks good, right?
What is this place? Do not touch that mushroom, you'll die!
Oh, I'm sorry. That one's perfectly fine. Come
Right, that's Keegan-Michael Key also doing a voice, right?
on, Mario!
So he doesn't necessarily sound like, you know, Luthor, your anger translator. He sounds like a different character.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
Okay, let's talk about Chris Pratt's performance in this. I said this as a tweet earlier, but I think the timeline of what happened. Thank you, Horsepoint Mine. Really appreciate that quote. The timeline of what happened here was. Pavlov wants to go out. We'll get to the timeline of what happened here in a second. Let me. Yep, be right back. I'm coming. Come on. Pavlov, come on. Yeah, those jeans are dirty. Come on. Pavlov, come on. Good boy. All right. Pavlov's cute, right? Malone says, I want Toad to take off his hat in this one. That would be funny. Yeah, it's always so weird when they have him do that. Yeah, it's Pavlov. Pavlov has these treats that he really likes, and they're like freeze dried, but um, they're like made with multiple different animals. It's like, each one of them will be like turkey, mackerel, like wild lamb, or like a bunch of other stuff, right? And then you open them up, and they just kind of smell like weird fish, but he loves them, so. All right. Yeah, let's talk about the Super Mario trailer and what happened. So here's what I think happened. Oh, hang on, let me. Here we go. Is that working? Check, check, check. Okay. Here's what I think happened. Um, Nintendo and their movie partners, which I think is Illumination in this case, are sitting around thinking about the Mario movie, and they're like, let's make big casting decisions, right? Right now, right now, nobody's hotter than Anya Taylor-Joy. So they're like, let's get Anya Taylor-Joy to be Peach. Okay. Who would make a good Bowser? Jack White. All right. It's like, what about like the Mario Brothers? It's like, oh, it would be funny if like Luigi's like a little skinny, freaked out guy, so it would be funny if Charlie Day voiced them. Sure. And they're like, who's gonna voice Mario? And they're like, we need a big star with a big star following to be Mario, and someone who kind of embodies the what Mario is like, right? Who's like a nice chubby guy. And I think they looked at like Andy Dwyer from wait, is it Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec? And they were like, yeah, this guy, Chris Pratt. Meanwhile, on the internet, people don't like Chris Pratt anymore, and there's plenty of people out there, normal people who like Chris Pratt, but a lot of people on the internet don't like that he is associated or he goes to a specific church that has some homophobic stuff going on, and he obviously doesn't speak out against it and sort of like tacitly approves of it by not ever saying anything or distancing himself, right? So he's built a lot of bad faith on the internet. Besides that, you're always going to have haters, right? So there's people that are just like, he's not a good actor or whatever, which is fair. It's fair if you don't think he's a good actor. And also, it doesn't help that like the last few movies that he's been in were the Jurassic World movies, which are not very good, right? So to someone who's not terminally online, like a lot of us are, they were like Chris Pratt was a no-brainer. So they're like, here we go, the Mario movie. It's this guy and Chris Pratt as Mario, and people are like, what? And it's like, we could all sort of imagine Jack Black as Bowser. We could all sort of imagine Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, right? Because both of those guys are like sort of like big character actors who do characters and do things and have like are able to create these like big personalities, but like explicitly Chris Pratt kind of doesn't. Chris Pratt kind of plays like a more handsome version of himself in most movies, right? So people were going in expecting Chris Pratt's performance to be garbage and were very vocal about it. So again, and this is my opinion of what happened, my theory of what happened. So again, Nintendo and Illumination are like, oh, wait, people don't like Chris Pratt, and people are just like relentlessly making fun of Chris Pratt as Mario, right? They're like dubbing in stuff from Parks and Rec. They're like, yeah, they're just kind of making constant, nonstop, mean jokes about Chris Pratt as Mario and how that is not a smart decision. So the trailer has to come out because this movie is happening no matter what. And so Nintendo goes in and they're like, let's make this all about Bowser, which was a good decision. And then we'll just have Mario say a couple of things. And I think, right, that they picked two very small conservative lines for him to say. And they probably were like, and here's the other thing. It's possible that just because so far we've heard Keegan-Michael Key and he sounds like a different person, right? He's doing a character. And we've heard Jack Black who sounds like a different person, right? He's not like "Rigagogo" or anything like that. He's like doing a character voice. So it's possible that either like they have a director and also like a voice like a voice producer who are working with the actors to create these character voices. And it's possible that we will hear Chris Pratt doing a character voice, right? That they'll actually help him to do that. And he'll be like someone, because this kind of sounds like he has like a Brooklyn accent kind of a thing, right? It's like, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come, or whatever. I don't know what he's doing. But I think that even if that's the case, Nintendo, being so worried about the response to Chris Pratt as Mario, put in very conservative lines and very conservative line readings, right? Because as we all know, trailers will very frequently lie to you, right? They'll have entire scenes in the trailer which are not in the movie. So it's possible that Chris Pratt's voice is going to be very different in the movie, but in the trailer they put it in because they were worried. So of course, Chris Pratt is just sounds like himself. He's just like, oh, what's happening? I'm Chris Pratt. Oh, let's go Mushroom Kingdom. Cool. And so people are making fun of that because that's kind of what they were expecting anyway. So it was like a no-win situation. Like I think people will come up with a lot of things. Like they'll quote that Chris Pratt is aligned with an organization that has not great views. They'll point out that again, Charles, I think, is it Charles Martinet? God, I need to like look that up. Yeah, Charles Martinet. They will point out that he's been doing the Mario voice for a long time and that they should have just given him the role because he is the voice of Mario. He's the voice that Nintendo has chosen to be Mario since Mario 64, right? That was a long time ago. 64 years ago. No, it wasn't, but it's funny to say. So but the reason why like nobody's happy with this cast is because Chris Pratt doesn't have a Mario-y voice, right? We were talking about Bob Hoskins. Like Bob Hoskins had a Mario-y voice. Yeah, there are, like we joked about Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito does have a Mario-y voice. You don't want Mario to sound too old, I guess. But there are going to be actors out there who have, I don't know, either a very high-pitched voice like Charles Martinet does, or like a rounder, like more grounded voice that doesn't just sound like a cool protagonist to do with Mario. Malone says, I like that they had Shigeru Miyamoto on this announcement. If I'd had to guess, he got no idea who any of these voice actors or ones doing the things even are. Yeah. Yeah, definitely somebody came to Shigeru Miyamoto and was like, this is what's happening. And he's like, I had no idea because I'm never online and I don't care about any of this. I created Mario and Link, so shut up. Malone says, Nintendo just shouldn't mess with this mess that's called Hollywood and U.S. media. It's a no-win situation. It is. They put themselves in a no-win situation because of stunt casting. Because that's the thing. That's what they were doing, right? And it came back to bite them. they were trying to add more clout and more visibility by casting movie stars. And that's what they did. They cast a movie star and it added more visibility, but it's been negative visibility, right? So that's not what they wanted. You can argue 1,000 ways from Sunday there is no such thing as bad publicity. But there kind of is, right? Bad publicity can kill something before it even happens. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Or someone says it doesn't help that he was announced as Garfield like the same week. Was he really? Wow. I did not. I knew that he was tied to a Garfield project, but for some reason I thought maybe that was a cartoon. What he sounds, I don't know. Like again, like it's like you wouldn't. It's like none of the Chris's, right? It's like you wouldn't have Chris Evans as Mario or Garfield either. You wouldn't have Chris Pine as Garfield or Mario. They have young protagonist voices, right? It's like a voice in a very specific register. Um, I think you want Garfield to have a deep, lazy voice, and you want Mario. Again, we've been sort of trained to have this idea of Mario having a very high-pitched voice, but that doesn't have to be the case. Prior to Mario 64, most representations of Mario had him with like a deep voice, and that's fine because he's like a little fat guy, right? It's like you expect him to have a deep voice, so that would have been fine too. It's weird, and it really backfired on them. And what otherwise looks like a good, like I don't think that Chris Pratt's voice is going to ruin this. My worry is that now Nintendo is going to, and Illumination are going to turn around and try to fix this somehow. They're like, we have to show people that Chris Pratt can actually do a good job, or they're like, okay, let's fire Chris Pratt and re-record all the audio or whatever. And that's not the way to do it either, right? My worry is that they're going to make some sort of like rash decision, and it's going to come back and bite them in the butt. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Let me. The Sonic redesign, but his voice, yeah. I mean, it's that same thing, and what people don't realize, I think, is that this is something that's been happening for a long time. When Iron Man, like back in 2008, was first gonna come out, they showed some stills of the armor in action, and it was CGI, and people were like, that armor looks too shiny, and it kind of did. It kind of looked too shiny, and so they went back and they changed some stuff, and they like later on they posted some stuff that was like, where it looked like a little bit more scuffed and a little bit duller, and people were like, yeah, okay. And I think that's a good example of this sort of thing working for the better, where they can look at it and be like, okay, well, now that we've gotten some different eyes on this, yeah, maybe this armor that we've been looking at since day one is too shiny and we just don't notice because we have been looking at it this whole time. Excuse me. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's been happening this whole time. Let me see here real quick. Let's play a game. What should we play? Should we try and make wrestlers? That can take as much time as we need it to. So WWE is a very finicky program. So we'll see. Is old. Yes. Okay, it's updating. Again, make sure you check, you have a plan and you check on what you're gonna do during a stream ahead of time. There we go. Put some music on. Okay. Let's make a lady. Oh, Werewolf by Night. That's right. We haven't talked about Werewolf by Night yet. We can talk about Werewolf. Have any of you seen Werewolf by Night? This is the one with... I don't think I have a technician yet. Horsepine Mine says, I remember hearing you mention Void Saga characters in the Wrestler Creator, but I don't think they don't think I've ever seen them posted anywhere. They've been posted to like social media here and there, so they're hard to find. And they're not labeled because it used to be that the easiest way for me to get wrestlers I made from my PS4 to my computer was to post them on Twitter and then download them. So there's a lot of random ones. You can look up at Fearsome Critter and then like I think it's like hashtag PS share or PS4 share, and you can see like a bunch of the stuff that I've shared. Let's see. Horseman says, I saw Werewolf by Night outside on a projector in my cousin's backyard. Really great place to watch it. That's good. Malone says, I have kind of liked it. St. JW says, I have no idea what Werewolf thing is, apart from it being on D+. Sakura says, I may have seen something about Werewolf by Night on Twitter. Okay. So what Werewolf by Night is a Marvel Studios special presentation. What that means is basically it's a 1 hour, I guess, movie. Might be a good way to put it. But like back in the day, they used to have TV specials. So that's kind of what Werewolf by Night is doing. It is also being a version of what's happening here. It is also sort of being a love letter to all of the... Yes. It's kind of a love letter to 30s and 40s monster movies. This is why I was saying that it is both a love letter and a huge FU to Universal, because it is like really trying to evoke that feeling of the Universal monster movies, while simultaneously, you know, Universal tried to get its like Dark World off the ground and it didn't work, and now the only company that really has a huge cinematic universe is like, okay, well now we're gonna do the Dark World and it's gonna be awesome. So that sucks for them. What's a good name? So yeah, so Werewolf by Night, I watched it and I really liked it. I guess I'll try to do this spoiler free since some people haven't seen it, but yeah, so it's short, right? It's about an hour, and it introduces you to the character of Jack Russell, who in this world is being played by Gael Garcia Bernal, which is nice, right? A little bit more Latino representation. And oops. Zinda's a cool name. And yeah, it's all in black and white except for a little bit of it. And yeah, it's just like, it starts in the middle. You don't find out how the main character got to where they are, or why these things are necessarily happening. You just kind of get dropped in the middle of things, and it's pretty solid. I really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of like for a film, for somebody who likes film and who's seen a lot of old films, it's got some stuff in there for you. Like, even though it's always meant to be a thing that was there for screaming. It is a horror thing, I guess. But streaming, it still has the reel change like dots. And I went through and I looked for them, and they happen more or less when the reels would be switched in the show. So, it was nice. It's nice. It's a good way of doing things. And yeah, basically it's just kind of like 3 acts, with like the final act being like pretty short. Yeah, it's good times. I really enjoyed it. I guess I thought maybe I would say more stuff about it, but I don't want to spoil it for people because it really just came out. It's only been out for a week or two. So if you have Disney Plus, you should try and check it out. Malone says Werewolf Thing is an hour special based on 70s Marvel comic. It was an interesting mashup, kind of Universal meets 70s Marvel. Can't get over that character name. Jack Russell, yeah. I don't think that it was intended to be funny, but I think it's better to just embrace it. The Witch. Let's name her. First name Y. Last name. Maggie Magic. Marty. Wow, a lot of MAs. Yeah, definitely a lot of M names. That's interesting. Okay, so they didn't have that. I was hoping for like a Me or like a May, so she could be like Y May. Nope. Let me see if they have. Lisa. Ah, they do have it. Sweet. Okay. So first name 2. What does a first name 2? That doesn't make sense. Okay. Home and then last name is Little. So her name is YU Little. Oh, why does it still say the superstar? Dang it. Here we go. Delete. There we go. There we go. Okay. Amelin says, I like that for once they introduced a new thing without origin formula. So tired of that. Nobody needs to see superhero origin anymore. They are all the same, and we've seen like 30 in the last 15 years. Yeah. Really fresh to just do a thing and not worry about any of that MCU. Yeah, it really is. And it's like that stuff that like the MCU themselves used to do, right? They would just put stuff like this in the movies. Supposedly Thanos appearing at the end of Avengers was just a thing that like Joss Whedon thought would be like cool. He was like, yeah, let's just throw Thanos in here. And it's like, okay. All right. Yeah, so if you haven't seen Werewolf by Night, I recommend it. I showed it to my wife, and like my wife doesn't care about superhero stuff. Like I've she's watched a fair amount of it, and most of it bores her, which is fair. A lot of it is kind of boring, and I recognize that some of the stuff that I like about some of these shows is boring to other people or some of these movies. So yeah, makes sense. But yeah, so she actually enjoyed it. She liked it. She liked it a lot, and she was like asking me questions about it and about like the original comics, which this only they carry some stuff in but leave a lot of stuff out. It's fine. But yeah, she was like, is this character Hispanic in the comics? And I'm like, no. This is new representation. That's why his name is Jack Russell, right? Or like it's like the Moon Knight personality that speaks only in Spanish is named like Lawrence Hockley or something like that. It's like, yeah, none of these characters were Latino or Hispanic back in the day. They've had to sort of add that. Face. That looks inoffensive enough. I'll accept that. like, my computer can run things pretty well. Like, this program is not very stable, so it might actually crash. So we'll see how that goes. What does this mean? Oh, weird. Face, body. Let's go with... the skin color's fine. Let's go with attire. Yep, entrance attire. Malone says, I think he was Romanian. Like, of course, all of horror things. Jacob Rusov or so. Oh, that's right. That's right. There's like, eventually they write in that he like changed his name. So, you know, maybe his, originally his name was, something like Jacobo. I don't know if there's like a Russell sounding name in Spanish. Oh, like Jacobo Rosa, right? Just like Jacob Rose. That's something, right? Are her eyes red? Oh, right. I clicked away from it, that's why. Oh no, they're just brown. Alright, hair says a lot about you. I don't know that I have a girl with like just long hair. How do I rotate? Oh. Yeah, let's try this. I don't have a strong concept for this character yet. Painting it with your desired color and brush sizes. Don't be afraid to experiment with dye. You can use the undo feature if you're not happy with your results. Yeah, let's... How do I... Oh, color select. This is going to be very difficult to do on a keyboard. Okay, let's get her a little bit rotated. Okay, brush size. Move the brush. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to look. This is some... Weird. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be doing a lot of this because this is very weird. Like if I wanted to come down this way... Okay. Wow, that looks really terrible. I love it. That just really looks like a... It doesn't just look like a bad like self-made dye job. Like it kind of brings attention to the fact that her hair like exists in like pieces, you know, like in strips. It's like, and the strips are like completely cohesive, so it's like just kind of like slapping around, and this brings a lot of attention to it. So if you want a wrestler that looks good, definitely don't use this, or try to use it in like a smarter way than I did. How shiny can I make her hair? Extremely shiny. Yes. I want my computer to struggle to render this horrible hair. Well, I was going to mess with her eyes a little bit more, but now that they're covered by bangs, I guess it kind of doesn't matter. Let's do something like this. That's cute. That's fine. Second color, let's make it blue. Third color, we make it light blue. That's fine. Scars, face tattoo. Malone says it also fits the formula how early creators Americanize their own names. Yep, I guess it sort of echoes the not just like the Americanization, but also the like waspization, right, of names. Because you know, Stan Lee, I think Stan Lee was born in the U.S., but you know, he was worried that as like Stanley Leibowitz, he wasn't gonna be able to get well, I don't want to tell you guys the wrong name. Let me just double check what Stanley's original name was. Lieber, not Leibowitz, Lieber. Stanley Lieber. So yeah, this is something that happens, you know, so a good example is Freddie Prinze, right? Freddie Prinze Jr.'s dad. Freddie Prinze changed his name, and then Freddie Prinze Jr. and like they're kind of stealth Latinos, right? Same thing with Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen's last name was Estevez, and that's why Emilio Estevez, his son, is named that, and he didn't change his name, even though you know Charlie Sheen did. So it's interesting. Or I think Emilio Estevez changed it back. Changed his like name back to Estevez, but Esteves. But yeah, you know, it happens. So this is good. It's good to get something going in the opposite direction, right? Okay. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to mess with this. I'll just accept. All right. Let's see what sort of clothing we can get going for this atrocity. Jackets, outfits. Let's see what they have in jackets. See if there's anything. I guess this is going to be her entrance outfit, so... Yeah, hang on. Let's actually find some tops. Ooh, a flak jacket. That seems like it doesn't fit with anything, so that might be good. Gotta love these, like, only covers half the boobs ones. And we can change the bra if we want to. I mean, I don't have a like I don't think I have like a slutty mean wrestler yet, so this might be good. Let's make that blue. Page up. Here we go. Yes, definitely too many things going on. Let's go with that. Absolutely. Change nothing. Yeah, and then we'll do some sort of jacket over it, which they'll take off for the... Malone says, long hair have always been kind of problematic in wrestling games. Yes. Same with Jack Kirby, Jacob Kurtzberg. Yeah, all of those guys. All of those guys changed their names because it wasn't cool to be Jewish, And it sucks. You think back on it and it freaking sucks that they had to do that. Like, I don't think I've ever talked to people about it, but I kind of tried that. For a very long time, I worked in that station in Kansas for almost 10 years. And I got progressively more desperate to have a resume land somewhere, and I got very little response. And somewhere along that time, like, more and more reports started coming out that are like, yeah, employers are super racist about this, and if they see a name that is like ethnic, they just don't give it the time of day. And we've sent 2 different resumes that have the exact same stuff with 2 different names, and they'll pick the white sounding name and dump the other one, right? And I'm just like, God. And so I tried to like anglicize my name. I didn't change it officially or anything, but I sent a few resumes with like an anglicized version of my name, and I felt like garbage for it. Like, I just felt personally bad, like I was like betraying some aspect of myself. I couldn't do it, and also I didn't get any response back from those, so maybe it wasn't just racism. Maybe like my resume just was not impressive at all. But yeah, it sucks. I kind of tried to do it once, and it's really terrible to have to change your name. We'll accept that. Yeah, she's gonna be a little bit more generic. Definitely like your bad guy that fights the good guy to make them look good. Oh, mummy pants. Oh, never mind. Those are stripes. Yeah, we could do stripes. Metallic tiger pants. That's this character's name. And then let's do choose. Malone says, my name would translate really well to boring English name, probably Jared Smith or something. It's close, and my name literally means Smith. Yeah, you know, that's good. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so my middle name's Dante, right? People know that. So yeah, I was definitely trying to be like Rod Dante, and I was like, that's weird. It's weird. It's weird to call myself that. And then like there for a while, I had to answer my phone like, you know, because like you can see who's calling, right? So like it looked like someone from one of the places I'd applied. I had to be like Rod Dante, like. You know, Rod Dante is actually not a terrible name, but it felt weird. It felt weird to do it, so I kind of had to undo it. Are there more girly ones? You know what? It's important to protect your feet. Go with metallic too. Third material, okay. Color, first color. Make him that metallic blue. Second color, will just be black. Third color is fine the way. Well, so we can make it a brighter white. There you go. There you go. Parts, color, import parts, select persona. Oops, I already did this. Accept. Copy attire. Oh, no, it's the other way. Yes. Perfect. That's exactly what I was going for. Okay. Go back. Personal information. I already have her name. Menu screen pose, very important. It's gotta be something that shows off her terrible hair. But also she's a lady, so like doing the more ladylike poses is like a possibility. There's something like this. This looks terrible. What a terrible character. Let's see. Crowd reaction, cheer, personality traits. She's egotistical. She's disrespectful. She's desperate. She's treacherous. She's not cowardly though. She's bold. But she is very aggressive. Hometown, where should she be from? Probably somewhere in the US. She can be from North Dakota. She can be from Bismarck. All right. Yeah, desperate and treacherous, definitely. Do not upload. That's fine. All right, let's see if we can. Let's see if this thing can hold together to have an exhibition match. Here we go, custom superstars. Sure. I think it's gonna have. Actually, it might not have music. I might have turned all the music off. Don't do that. Okay. Here we go. Whoops.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring from Bismarck, North Dakota, Little.
I spoke with this superstar earlier. They predicted not only a win, but also, quote, a masterpiece in the ring. Well, the WWE Universe seems to agree.
God, that hair looks so bad, right?
Can't think of an even more egotistical thing for any superstar to say.
I got a feeling this editor could crash and burn any moment. Yeah. Yeah, definitely call them superstars. They're not wrestlers. They're sports entertainment superstars.
Is the reason why.
Yeah, other versions of this game let you edit like wrestler personalities a lot more, and that was nice. But they really scaled that back since the since the failure that was 2K20. I like how characters without gloves adjust nothing.
This is a match that folks have been clamoring for, and they are excited to finally get it.
It's like I forgot I made this character. It's actually pretty cool. Unlike Little, who is like kind of a trash character, I actually think I put some thought behind it, or behind her.
One of the top names in the entire women's division, and she plans on showing exactly why here tonight.
I guess B's a big boxer. She's doing a lot of boxing. Also, I hope I accurately removed my ability to take part in this match.
And as this match gets started, we're looking
Okay,
at
yeah, they're just. I'm not doing anything. They're just gonna fight on their own.
Spoken. She's been itching to get this fight started for quite some time now, but it'll be interesting to see if she's bitten off more than she could chew.
I believe she's come into this match with the exact attitude needed for the challenge.
But she'll be facing a challenge in the form of a superstar who has a vendetta to settle. You know this one's going to get intense, judging by all the vitriol that's led up to tonight.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, she is really showing her confidence.
Getting in a fight with the ref.
Well, this is weird. Certainly an unusual strategy. Oof. What a forearm.
Boom on the jaw. Shot right to the ribs. Jumping knee strike. I like that. A pinpoint kick to the back. Paying it right. Hold on. She could be looking for a submission move here.
Straining those muscles. Think about all the pain she's in right now.
Yeah, I really need to get in there too and like tweak the wrestlers, like their abilities and like their stats to make some better than others. Because right now they're all at the baseline, so they're all like really evenly matched, which makes these like CPU fights. Oh snap! It makes them really slow and they take a very long time. I don't know. This one might not take that long though.
Rethink her strategy. She kicks out with force.
Somehow she's still in this matchup. It's unbelievable.
Downward spiral.
See ya.
Oh snap!
She returns the favor there.
She could be turning her fortunes around.
She got the shoulders down.
Malone says it's been a while since I've played these. Editor is the coolest thing in any wrestling game. Yeah, absolutely. Malone says my buddy streams this once a week as an actual show with commentary and mostly viewer created characters. Yeah, there's a few streamers who do that kind of thing. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Definitely, it's my character creator of choice. So whenever I'm making characters for an RPG, because also it has, it has a lot of costume pieces. So it has fantasy stuff, it has sci-fi stuff, and stuff that isn't already sci-fi and fantasy, because you can change the texture and color and everything. You can fake it.
Still has some
Malone says, yeah, also moveset stuff takes forever if you want really unique styles. Yeah, it takes a long time. It's the sort of thing that I probably have to do off stream, just because it doesn't make for like particularly good streaming. Get her.
Places her right in the corner.
That's the other thing, is like, yeah, if I did this more regularly, I would just turn off the announcers and do the announcing myself.
Kick down low. She's going for it. This could be. No!
Oh, come on. This is a third kick out.
Wait a second, referee, you sure? Are you sure that's two?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think I meant for her wings to be part of the in-ring outfit, but I'm glad they let her keep them. That's got to be very painful to land on those, but she's a pro.
It's got to be over.
Uh-oh, the end is near. No way she survives this.
I think she's going to hang on. I think she's going to hang on.
Arm is trapped, but she gets away. Evades the attack.
Oh.
Got the arm.
And she gets to the ropes.
Rope break.
Always knowing where you are inside the ring is so important.
Kinshasa. Roll the credits. This one's done.
Cover. 2. It wasn't enough. She kicked out.
What?
She was barely able to get that
She was
shoulder up.
stunned.
I cannot believe she had the wherewithal.
I don't know if there's more frustration or desperation in the ring now, knowing that you've tried to end this and failed.
What a battle we are witnessing.
We're at a stage where someone's going to have
Yeah,
to
again,
shoot
right,
another
it's like,
gear.
well, since these characters are like very evenly matched, this fight is just taking a long time. Although I guess this is probably about how long a normal wrestling match lasts.
Well, things
It's just the characters aren't doing anything particularly interesting. Because a lot of the interesting stuff got like carved out of the game, unfortunately. It's just like the move.
She's going up. Top rope here. From the top.
Like the number of moves available for custom characters really shrunk. Wow.
Man, that was a hard-fought win. She's got to be proud of herself.
A good debut for YU Little.
Here is your winner, YU Little.
And a very strong performance here from tonight's winner.
They really put in some back-breaking work for this victory.
Wins in WWE rarely come easy, Saxton, but this one was tougher than most.
Oh, yeah, thank you. GG. GG to all of you as well, audience. Let's... Yeah, that'll be good for the highlight reel. All right. Well, how about we call it good there? I would like to thank you all for spending some time here with me, talking about trailers and talking about werewolves and talking about laundry, all the important things in this world, and wrestling, of course. So yeah, we'll try and do this again next week. This stream went, what, 2.5 hours? That's about the top. That's about as long as usually these are going to go. Sometimes they're shorter than that just because of how I feel at any given point. But yeah, it was good times. To everybody who stopped by, thank you so much. To everybody who stuck around for the whole thing, extra thank you. Obviously, super duper thank you to anybody who subscribed or donated anything. I really appreciate that, and it gets me closer to getting that new chair. So yeah, thanks guys. And I actually, let me see if I want to try and raid someone. Usually there isn't anyone that isn't like already like a huge person, so there's kind of no point in raiding. Nope. Nobody wants to raid. Okay. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon.